General, Superintendent of West Point, Chief of Staff of the Army, Field Marshal to the Philippines, recipient of the Medal of Honor. Douglas MacArthur was born to a military family, and he remained a military man to his core till the day that he died. Young Douglas was born on January 26, 1880 at the Little Rock Barracks in Arkansas. His father, Arthur MacArthur Jr., was an Army captain. His mother was named Mary Pinckney Hardy MacArthur. He had two older brothers, Arthur MacArthur III and Malcolm MacArthur. The three of them grew up with their parents at various Army posts throughout the West. His older brother Malcolm died of the measles in 1883. In 1889, Arthur MacArthur Jr. was sent to San Antonio, Texas. Douglas continued his childhood there and attended Force Public School. In September of 1893, Douglas began attending West Texas Military Academy, beginning his lifelong affiliation with the U.S. military. In 1899, he began attending West Point Military Academy. He graduated in 1903 and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army that summer. He spent several years rising through the ranks of the U.S. Army until the United States entered World War I in April of 1917. This gave him an experience with war that left many men scarred for life and changed his beliefs about how soldiers should be trained. After the war, he was appointed superintendent of West Point Military Academy, where he had attended nearly 20 years before. He tried to make substantial changes to the program but met with fierce resistance from students and staff. Although many of his changes were not carried forward, future generations of West Point staff would re-implement them. During the 1930s, he served as Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army and began cultivating a public image. He became well known. As the United States entered World War II after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, he was the head of the armed forces in the East and was serving in the Philippines. He was forced to retreat after the Japanese invaded that island country in late 1941 and into 1942. He vowed to return. When the United States defeated Japan, MacArthur was ordered to command the U.S. presence in Japan. He continued in that role until 1949 and stayed in Japan until 1951. In the summer of 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea and MacArthur was named Commander-in-Chief of the United Nations Command to assist South Korea. He was initially successful but met with setbacks after China entered the war. Because of his celebrity, many Koreans felt that his forces would be unstoppable, but they were to learn that this was not the case. He was removed from command in 1951 and retired from the Army, telling Congress, "I am closing my 52 years of military service. When I joined the Army, even before the turn of the century, it was the fulfillment of all of my boyish hopes and dreams. The world has turned over many times since I took the oath on the plane at West Point, and the hopes and dreams have long since vanished, but I still remember the refrain of one of the most popular Baroque ballads of that day, which proclaimed most proudly that bold soldiers never die, they just fade away. And like the old soldier of that ballad, I now close my military career and just fade away, an old soldier who tried to do his duty as God gave him the light to see that duty. Goodbye." He died on April 5, 1964. His legacy was complicated. As a general, he was often bold to the point of folly. He was instrumental in ending the bad feelings between the United States and Japan after World War II. He made mistakes during the Korean War. He sometimes used undemocratic methods to do what he thought was necessary to protect his country. In the end, his legacy is similar to that of many U.S. military men and politicians, and to that of his country as a whole. There was good and there was bad, and who knows where the balance lies.